We can go ahead.
So let me
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the webinar tonight, Palisades LA Strong, Return and Rebuild. Mayor Bass, I hear you're jumping right in. If you'd like to go ahead and take it away, please do. But we know we have a number of other folks joining us. So I just want to wait till we get to critical mass. In that time, I'll quickly just say we do have some interpretation options for folks who may need it. If we can go to the next slide, please. We have both American Sign Language as well as closed captioning. And you can click on the closed captioning link in the bottom of your screen in the chat function. You'll see that there. And to access American Sign Language, you can click on the globe. If we can go to the next slide, please. All right, next slide. All right, I'll go ahead and we'll introduce you, Mayor Bass, since I know your time is limited. Tonight's webinar will focus on safety and access in the Palisades. And without further ado, Mayor Karen Bass.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. And yes, I'll be interrupted because I need to transition to the car. But this is a follow-up from what we did several days ago when we told you that given what was happening in the city, we needed to change the security arrangement in the Palisades. And what we promised, and I wanted to follow up on, we promised that we would have a webinar immediately after the weekend to talk about how the weekend went, how it went in terms of the Palisades. I've asked the chief to be here and for the chief to give you a report on crime, what happened in the Palisades, how from the perspective of law enforcement, it worked in terms of the reduction of the officers doing something different, roaming around instead of manning checkpoints. So we wanted to present what we know. We wanted to hear back from you and then talk about moving forward, what we will be able to do. So with that, I'd like to ask the chief if he would weigh in to what we saw in terms of criminal activity in the Palisades over this weekend.
No, thank you very much, Mayor. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for being on the call and more importantly, for being such a great partner to us in keeping the Palisades safe and as nice as it is. I'm joined here today by Deputy Chief Gerald Woodyard, who's the commanding officer, as you know, of West Bureau. From a 30,000 foot perspective, we've pulled resources away from the checkpoints, but we still maintain substantial crime suppression patrol, coupled up with our partners in private security. We're able to, I think, provide coverage throughout the area, unprecedented coverage throughout the area in a roving fashion. I think that while freeing up the checkpoints, it also, I think, provides a greater level of visibility throughout the community than we saw with the checkpoint configuration. The CHP are currently still there. However, they're going to have to pull their resources off here at some point, and that's their call as to when they do that. So as we move forward, we do so in a different configuration, but very comfortable that it's one where we'll be able to meet your expectations and meet the needs of the day relative to crime suppression and community policing philosophy. I was going to say something else there.
Crime report from the weekend?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Thank you. Yeah, we had no crimes over the weekend, so we're proud of that. If you are aware, anyone on the call is aware of any crimes that did occur and weren't reported, please let us know and we'll track that down, because only by reporting crimes can we then target our resources to where they can be most beneficial to the community. So we're in a very good place, I believe, right now from a public safety standpoint. But again, our relationship with you is the most critical part of that. So let me kick it over, if I could, to Deputy Chief Gerald Woodyard. And Chief, anything you have in addition?
Yes, thank you, Chief McDonnell and Madam Mayor. And just want to let you guys know, we've been working closely with Councilwoman Traci Park. I'm confident that we have a sound game plan, as the Chief mentioned. Captain Rich Gabaldon, who's the captain of this area, he and his team have worked with West Bureau. And as we said, we want to make sure that the Palisade is safe and comfortable. and we're not going to abandon this area. But I have Rich Gabaldon here that can kind of go into some of the details as relates to what you're going to see in the Palisades going forward. Rich, do you want to take it over from there?
Sure, Chief.
Yes.
Yeah, I got it. Hey, good evening, everyone. I'm Captain Rich Cabal. I'm the area captain of West Los Angeles Division. Thank you, Chief. It's good to see you. Mayor Bass,
Yeah,
good to
thank
see
you.
you. Chief Woodyard, good to see you. So we had a pretty successful opening. Like any transition, there's going to be a few speed bumps here to getting everyone, in the right location at the right time. But all in all, we've gotten some pretty positive feedback from the community. We have our officers out there. We have a 1 in 10 officers. We've divided the Palisades into 4 sectors. We have 2 officers patrolling each of those sectors, and we have our traditional A1 basic car to handle calls for service and respond to emergencies. So far, like the chief said, we haven't had any crimes committed over the weekend, or at least those are reported. But if you do have any crimes to report, please let us know. And we're also supplemented with private security, approximately 16 security officers that the city has contracted with, and they're out there 7 days a week, 24 hours a day with us. And we're also supplemented by our CHP, generally 2 sergeants and 12 officers out there as well. So it's a very robust footprint as far as patrolling. When you consider prior to the fires, we only had 1 A car that responded to any emergency up there. And that was a lot of residents that we had. So we're looking good. No reported crime since Saturday. And we look to keep moving forward. One of the things we're doing is we do a secondary roll call every day at 1000 hours. We're inviting the community members to join us to try to get some feedback from you as far as how the system's working, what's working well, what's not working well. And you can generally give some information or crime tips to the officers that are there that day, and they can go out there and add that to their daily mission that they're working on. So this is our calendar that we put out. This is for the rest of the week. If you'd like to join us, these are the times, like I said, 1000 hours at each of these locations. And please encourage community members also to come out there, or neighbors that you know. And I believe Miriam Czar is also going to be posting that on the Pacific Palisades community calendar. So come join us for that. And then I think we have another slide. And see, these are where we need you to contact us. Obviously, if it's an emergency, call 911. For non-emergencies, call 877-ASK-LAPD. You can also report non-emergency crimes on our LAPD online. And we've also created an email where we can handle community concerns that are not of the emergency type that we would normally respond to from 911. And that's palisades@lapd.online. That's monitored by our senior lead officer for the area, Brian Espin, and Matt Kirk, who's filling in for him, and also by our senior lead sergeant, Scott Alpert. And I also have access to, and I look at it every morning to see how things are going. And I'll be available on this call for any questions you might have or any concerns you might have. So please feel free to ask me any questions. Thank you.
I think we have one more slide for you, Captain.
Oh, okay. Oh, yes. We're also in the process of installing a stop-in center. This is a tentative location you see on here. It's still under construction. We're hoping to get it open within the next week or two. And this will give the officers an opportunity to go back to this location and not have to drive all the way to West LA Station. It'll keep them in the area. They'll be able to write their reports there, use the facilities there. And it's also a place where you could come if you have some questions or concerns, knock on the door and interact with them. So I think it's going to be a real win-win for the community there. It's kind of like having your own substation within the Palisades without having to go all the way to West LA Station on Santa Monica and Butler if you need to speak to an officer. So really excited about that. And I'll be updating you once that gets open. Like I said, we anticipate in the next week or two. And that's all I have.
Excellent. So we are going to open it up to Q&A from the community. But I do want to also invite, if Councilmember Park would like to say a few words, you're welcome to, certainly, Councilmember.
I do. My apologies. I'm driving.
Okay,
My
well, drive
phone
safely.
is stuck in my steering wheel, so I apologize if I make you seasick when I turn around a corner. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for making time to be here for this important conversation. Great time to get your questions answered. I know that this is a transition that we have been talking about as a community for a while. I know this change came somewhat unexpectedly to a lot of folks last week. I know there was a lot of initial concern and consternation about it. There still is. But I also really want to thank Chief McDonnell and Commander Tom and Woodyear and Captain Gabaldon. They have been tremendously helpful. And this deployment, this continued deployment of resources to the Pacific Palisades is really demonstrative of their commitment to keep this community safe. So I want to thank them for that. And I also just want to reassure folks that, you know, this is going to remain a transparent, open conversation. And if we run into challenges and need to make changes, they're here to support us and to help us get through this. And so in recognition of just how significant all of these competing demands are, I just want to express my gratitude for the ongoing assistance here as we move into the rebuilding phase. So thank you, everyone, and let me not take up time, and let's move to questions.
Thank you, Council Member. Please do drive safely. We'll go into questions now. I'm going to take one from Robert Flick first. Robert is asking, what companies are the private security officers employed with? Captain?
Yeah, so Jenny, do you have that slide that has all the companies that are on there? They're employed. There's I believe there's 5 of them. The ACS is the main one that we're using, but there's 2 other ones that are contracted with the city.
Allied Universal, I think, is one.
Yes. And then we had the 2 traditional ones that are in there. They call them Pally Patrol, and there's another one. So there's a total of 5. The city is contracted with 3 of them, and they're providing 3 separate shifts: day watch, PM watch, and graveyard shift. There they are right there: ACS, Gates, Nastic, Black Knight, Allied, and Apollo. So those are the ones that are going to be patrolling up there in that area.
Excellent. We have a number of other community partners listed here. Thank you. All right, I'll stop sharing my screen now, and we'll go to a few other questions. Joanne Spock and Catherine Suse are asking, where are the roll calls and are they open to the public? So I know we had a slide up earlier, but that may not be adequate. Everybody may need to see that slide again. So I'm going to ask Liz, could you please put that slide back up with the roll calls? And we'll have Captain go ahead and walk us through that slide again.
Yeah, so these are the ones that we have for this week. We've actually built this out for a whole month's worth, but we didn't want to put too much stuff on there, so we kept it just for this week. They're at 10 o'clock at each of these locations. We do initial briefing in the morning when the officers get on, and then we assign them to their shift. And then we do a secondary roll call. We call it a roll call in the streets with the community members to give you guys an opportunity to meet us and ask any questions. So these are the locations at 10 o'clock for the week.
Okay, excellent. We'll keep that up just for a couple more minutes here. And for folks who want to see the rest of the month, so for example, you're not able to join this week to go to one of the public roll calls, but are interested in, you know, the following week or the week after, you can go ahead and email palisades@lapd.online, and that information can be shared with you as a full calendar. Again, I believe that Pacific Palisades Community Council may be also posting that on their website as well, but feel free to reach out to palisades@lapd.online for that full calendar in a PDF format. Okay, I have a question from Jim Conlon. Jim is asking a follow-up question regarding the private security. What is the use and the scope of the private security officers? What can they do? Arrest, detain? What are their roles and responsibilities?
So the primary function we have them doing is doing patrol, being an extra eyes for us. They can report any crimes in progress. They can basically report to us anything they see, whether it's traffic violations or possible trespassers. They do have arrest powers, not the same as a post-certified police officer, but like any citizen, if they see a crime in progress, they can actually make a citizen's arrest, or they can call LAP to come over, tell us what happened, and then we'll actually make the physical arrest. If they do make a citizen's arrest, we'll move in and we'll actually take the custodial arrest from them, and we'll process that body for them. So they don't quite have the same police powers, but they're eyes and ears, just like we are out there when we're patrolling.
Excellent. And one additional question related to the private security from Nikki Bear. Nikki is asking, how do we identify the private security cars?
They're clearly marked by the agency that we've contracted with. If it's Allied, it says Allied on it. You'll see it. They have light bars just like we do. Obviously, they're not black and white, so you can tell the distinction between a police car and a private security. But they're clearly marked that you'll see private security. It'll say like on the sides, on both sides, Allied security on it.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Okay, we have a more general question regarding some of the license plate readers. Peter Keenan is asking, how do the license plate readers work? I'm just curious to know how they work. Let's give the captain a bit of a break. Deputy Chief Woodyard, do you mind answering that one?
Absolutely. So the license plate reader, it's what it says. If the license plates are clearly seen, it actually will run that vehicle. It'll process it. It'll tell you if it has wants or if someone's wanted for a crime or if the vehicle was stolen. The beautiful part about that is that we have 50 of those flock cameras, which has the ALPR capabilities. And with that being said, the officers that are assigned to that area, they have an app that they can download on their phones, and so it gives them situational awareness, and then they can respond accordingly based on the information that's in those license plate readers database. With that being said, one of the things that can be defeated like any other technology, we will be looking to make sure that, especially our community, it would help us if you put your license plates on your car because that is the law. And I know some of the cars you don't want to put them on the front, but for us to make this something successful, we'll have our officers stop individuals that do not have their license plates on because it's against the law. And again, that ALPR is a great tool for us.
Thank you, Chief Woodyard. Okay, I'm going to go to Chief McDonnell for this next one. There are some concerns a number of residents, including Kate Long, have raised in regards to the high-performance cars that speed up and down Sunset through the village, in particular in the Palisades. Kate is referencing the deafening noise that is intensified in an area without buildings. How can this be addressed, and what is the LAPD's plan to address these speeding cars?
I think that with the number of people we have now doing roaming patrols throughout the Palisades, I think you'll see a greater ability for our folks to be able to see that and stop those individuals, talk to them or cite them, depending on the circumstances, where you wouldn't have had previously with the checkpoints. Once they got in, then they're going to do what they were going to do. And so I think we will be able to take a greater enforcement posture on people who are creating that kind of racket, and hopefully see that fall off somewhat. And again, you see it happening. It's something that is of consequence. Give us a call anytime, and we'll try and resolve it.
Great, thank you so much. Now, a number of individuals in the chat have indicated that they are really excited about this stop-in LAPD center. And some folks are calling it a substation. So I would love for our LAPD team members on the line to share and clarify how this stop-in center is different than a substation. And then others are asking, is this going to be permanent once it gets established? Chief Woodyard and Captain, go ahead.
Yeah, so it's a little different than a substation is. It's not going to be manned by officers or reserve officers, throughout the day. Officers will be responding there and they can write their reports. They can use the restrooms or the facilities. They can eat their lunch there. And when you see the black and white of the police there, it's an opportunity for you to go up and speak to them or voice any concerns that you may have. So that's the way it's kind of different. Stop-in centers generally have set hours where we would put police the substation where we'd put police in a substation, and the public could go there if they needed to make a report or there was some type of issue, they knew it was open. This is more a stop in. It gives the officers an opportunity to go there rather than have to drive all the way back to the station and keep them out of the community. That way, if there's an emergency call, they're at the stop-in station, they can respond quickly. They don't have that delay responding all the way from the police station. So that's kind of the goal, is to keep them in the Palisades for the high visibility and for the crime suppression.
Thank you. I appreciate that clarification. And I think we can go ahead and pull down the slides at this point. If we need to pull back other slides, we will. We'll go to Chief McDonnell for a question about timeliness. Some folks, including Alan Feld, have indicated that unfortunately very little notice was provided in regards to this change. Could you speak, Chief, about some of the demands around the city and why we had to make this change so quickly?
Yeah, no, I wish we had had the luxury of being able to be able to provide some advance notice on that, but we had the unrest. That's something I really have a hard time describing unless you were here in downtown LA. It was intense. It went on for an extended period of time. We have a factor of fatigue amongst our officers relative to working so many days straight. As best we can, we wanted to supplement our resources and be able to take care of whatever came along. We worked closely with the Sheriff's Department and the CHP, and they were fantastic, as well as several other organizations, police organizations throughout the state, who came and responded in a mutual aid configuration. So we had the need elsewhere in the city. We tried to do the best we could with the resources we have while still maintaining a strong posture in the Palisades to ensure that people didn't abuse, the tragedy that happened here in the last 6 months. So it's a balancing act always. We have very limited resources. We're down 1,400 officers from where we were a couple of years ago. And so again, just to point out, it's a constant triage to be able to do the best job we can with the limited resources we could get to apply to any problem. And this was what we chose to do. The timing, I think, was good overall for transition because we've been through 6 months, since the Palisades fire. And again, we don't want to leave and just leave it. We wanted to be able to leave it in good hands, but to be able to do it with an eye towards protecting the rest of the city as well.
Thank you, Chief. Appreciate that.
Sure.
All right, back to some specific questions in regards to the operations currently in the Palisades. Dara Danton is asking about the flock cameras, which are an additional tool deployed in the Palisades. She's asking, will we get any reports around the kind of data the flock cameras are gathering so that the community can understand the effectiveness of this tool?
So there's not a set report that actually comes out, like how we get it. We get the data that comes from them, like how many plates they read per day, any warrants or any wanted vehicles that come out. But it's not really something that it goes more to our crime analysis detail, and they use it to identify any patterns or trends of crime trends in the area. What I can say is that we've had some very successful investigations whereby we've identified vehicles and suspects using the flock cameras and using the ALPR cameras. And we do share that with the community members that have those installed in their community to let them know what a success they are. And if we do have successful investigations or make successful arrests, with the use of these cameras, and I'll make sure it's updated not only on the email address, but on the website, the Pacific Palisades community website, so you guys know how effective they're being. So I'll share it that way.
Thank you very much. And I just want to note Commander Jonathan Tom, who many of you all know in the Palisades, has worked with you for quite some time. He's on a plane, but he made the time to come on. So folks may have seen his camera twisting and turning as he's getting on and off a plane. But thank you, Commander, for joining for as much as you can here. Okay, we have a question from Larry Vane. Larry is asking, will the LAPD keep their cruiser lights on at night to enhance visibility? Captain?
So one of our plans in our mission for the officers at night is kind of be working, and we call it a hide configuration, where they drive around with their lights on. So anyone looking to victimize any of the people in the community can clearly see that the police are on the street and they're patrolling the area. So that's something we will take advantage of during the hours of darkness. That's part of the plan.
All right, good. And we have a question from Catherine. Catherine is asking, did you say there are dedicated LAPD cars patrolling the Pacific Palisades 24/7? Does that include the Highlands?
It does include the Highlands. That's part of our sector maps that we've mapped out. and it is 24/7. We always have at least our cars there to answer any calls for service.
Very good. Allison Brian Crowell is asking, will the permitting for entry still be enforced? I think that is a question regarding passes and access passes. So at this point in time, no further passes are needed to enter the Pacific Palisades. There will not be checkpoints, but there are greater patrols, more officers, as well as private security will be doing those roaming patrols, conducting roaming patrols and public roll calls for high visibility impact throughout the Palisades. But no, you do not need a pass to enter the Palisades at this point in time. I believe that's what's being asked in terms of the permitting. No one needs to go to the West LA Municipal Building or the Disaster Recovery Center to pick up a pass. Individuals needing to enter the Palisades will be able to do so without a pass, whether they're your contractors, or residents or guests. Those passes will not be checked throughout the Palisades, even when in the internal areas. Captain, did you want to add anything else to that in terms of permitting? I think that the permitting question is really about passes, but please let me know if you can think of anything else that may be referencing.
No, now that the checkpoints are no longer there, it's, we're not checking any of the permitting. So it's pretty much open. I don't think you'll need one to get into that area.
Okay. Jim Conlon is asking a question about the squatting, and a number of folks have asked about this, both squatting and trespassing. So if you all could please provide a little bit of more information about squatters, how that will be addressed, particularly on open lots without fencing, and how trespassing is enforced as well as defined when you have open lots without the fences.
So one of the things our senior lead officer, Brian Espin, has been doing is make sure we're getting out as much no trespassing signs as possible. That's kind of our warning that we can give those who are squatting or trespassing, that signs are posted. I know Councilwoman Parks has helped us out with that a lot. So generally when the officers respond, they'll give a warning to the suspect or the individual that's there that they're trespassing. They'll give them a reasonable time amount to leave the area. If they refuse to do that, then if the signs are posted, they can be subject to arrest by the officers. Or they can be subject to arrest by a private person who sees them trespassing and warns them and they refuse to leave and then calls the police and come over. So that's a tool, an effective tool that we have. And we plan on using it as long as the Palisades is open and construction is going on.
Thank you. Okay, we have a question regarding the stop-in center from Robert Newmark. Robert is being asked, where will the community station be for officers to do paperwork and so forth in the Palisades? Not the West LA location, but the one in the Palisades. So Robert, your answer is on Sunset, 15224 Sunset Boulevard. That does not exist yet. It's not open yet. We are working to get that set up, and it should be set up very soon. But we do want to let you know that that tentative location is on Sunset Boulevard at 15224 Sunset Boulevard. Okay, next question. Valerie Belt is asking, where are those license plates readers located? I've only seen one on Entrada. I know that may not be something you can answer very quickly, Captain, but if you want to give a general sense of where the many cameras are located, that would be very helpful.
So I have a map with the cameras on, but we don't like to share that information. But they are out there at the main ingress and egress routes into the Palisades. They put them in strategic locations where the most vehicle traffic is coming in. The major thoroughfares have the most, but we pretty much have every way into the Palisades mapped with those cameras, and they are recording and they are using those ALPRs to identify any particular vehicles that are coming in there. So the main thoroughfares, I would say, is the best answer.
Thank you very much. All right, we have a number of questions about any crime from the weekend. One individual is indicating that there may have been a Ring camera smashed over the weekend that they heard about. in one of the forums that they're a part of, and a burglary. Again, let's go to Deputy Chief Woodyard. Could you share what crimes were reported over this past weekend, since the 6 a.m. Time frame on Saturday that the checkpoints ended and we went to this patrol?
Absolutely.
If you could share any crime stats that you may have.
I can. There has been no reported crimes since we've taken over the Palisades in terms of having our resources overlaid into the Palisades. Now, and I think the chief said something that's extremely important, and that was mentioned on the previous meeting. Please, if there's something going on in your community, if there's a crime that occurs, we have to know, because we're going to be flexible in terms of where we put our resources. So if there's crimes that are occurring that we don't know about, it puts us at a disadvantage. It puts the community at a disadvantage because we can't change our strategies in terms of what we're trying to do within the community. So please make sure that you're reporting those crimes. But as of I think there was this past couple of days when we actually instituted our game plan, there has been no reported crimes in the Palisades, which I'm excited about. But again, we only know what we only know what you guys tell us. So just make sure that if there is a crime that you believe has occurred, we're here to take that crime report.
Okay, good. Thank you. Next, we have another question about the short notice. I think it's good to repeat some of these answers because some folks are joining at different points in time. So I'm seeing this come up as a trend again in the Q&A. A lot of, rightful frustration about why is it that we got such short notice. And this was a bit of an emergency situation. I'd love Chief McDonnell to jump in and explain why this decision was made so quickly.
Yeah, as I said a couple of minutes ago, the reason was because we didn't have any notice that we were going to have the civil unrest in central area that we had. We had to muster all the resources we could. We were able to reach out and get mutual aid partners to bring to bear on the problem, the resources that we had, and I think effectively so. We had minimal injury to either people who were in the environment as protesters, people who were there expressing their legitimate First Amendment rights, or police officers. The level of violence was pretty extreme at times, but pretty localized to a 1 square mile within the city. And so we had a need to be able to draw from where we could. We did that, and we did it in a way with an eye towards not leaving the Palisades unprotected. And we believe, excuse me, that we put in place a very robust response coupled with private security partners to be able to not only have static units there, but to be able to have units that are doing roving crime suppression 24/7. So I think you'll see by the stats that we have no crime since we did that. And I believe we're in a good place to be able to be effective moving forward. And anybody who comes to test it, I think we'll see that the level of visibility is pretty dramatic.
Thank you. And I would love to invite those on this webinar, community members in the Palisades, to please share in the Q&A function if you did hear about any crime or any incident that may have brought you some concern or alarm this weekend. We do want to know about that so that we can track it. Please do report it to the LAPD. You can report it through the Palisades at lapd.online email account, but we also would appreciate for you to share it here on the chat, and we'll read it out. If there was anything that you may have seen over the weekend that brought you concern, or that you feel may have been a crime that may not have been reported thoroughly, we'd love to pull it out and lift it up here. I'm not seeing any particular concerns besides the Ring camera that I had mentioned, but wanted to make sure to give you all a chance to raise that here so that we can ask our LAPD chief as well as other leadership to respond to it. Councilmember, I see that you came on video, so please feel free to jump in.
Thanks, Jenny. And I just wanted to make another plug here for Roll Call in the Streets for folks that may be joining us late and didn't hear it the first time. LAPD will be doing the roll call briefing in public places, on the streets in the Palisades. And so that is a really good time to get to interact with them directly, ask questions, and share your concerns. And so I want to thank them for that visible presence as well, and that really important piece of community engagement. So maybe we could, if it's still handy, or put
Yes,
it in
absolutely.
the chat one more time, the schedule for this week. And if we could make the monthly schedule available, I think that would be a great opportunity for folks. And you'll probably see me there from time to time as well, too.
Excellent. Liz, if we could please put the roll calls for the rest of this week back on the screen. That's a great suggestion. Folks are welcome to come by. And again, Councilmember Park, I like how you raised that right after I was talking about any concerns, any crimes that you heard about. This is a great place to come and talk through those concerns directly with the officers on the ground. And not only the LAPD officers, but also the private security will also be there, able to report in to the LAPD as well as collaborate in a community setting with all of you. So I do think this will be a really wonderful new addition to everyday life in the Palisades, to the extent that folks are able to drop in. And we do have a number of questions from folks on the line tonight about how the security companies are being utilized. And one of our residents here, Wesley Rowe, is asking, where has LAPD used private security partners in the recent past, and how effective has it been?
So like I said before, we're using them on patrol as eyes and ears. We have a cell phone number. They have a direct cell phone number to the supervisor who's in charge of that shift. So if they need to report something, they can just call that supervisor on his phone and he can dispatch our units to respond. So that kind of cuts out, the downtown communications in event there's something that they need to report right away. We also issue them a radio every day that they turn in at the end. We swap out their battery for them. So if they need to get on our radio on our frequency, they're able to broadcast something. And then we broadcast on our frequency. They hear it as well, and they can respond and also provide extra patrol. And I'm sorry, what was the second part of that question, Jenny?
A little bit of context as to where the private security have been utilized, the effectiveness in other communities, or I know private security is often used to actually protect some city properties as well. I don't know if Chief McDonnell.
I can speak to that. I mean, if you look at the Hollywood division, they have a robust relationship with their security personnel over there, and I think we can build something similar in the Palisades, because we're going to have 10 officers that are consistently in the area. They're not asked to go and work in other parts of the city, and so I guess once you start building those relationships, it makes the work easier. And then obviously we're sharing information on a daily basis. Our security personnel will absolutely be involved in some of our roll calls. And so at the end of the day, we're going to make sure that we're constantly communicating and making sure that we're sharing information so that we can overlay the resources properly within the Palisades. And this has been done in various parts of the city. Hollywood, off the top of my head, comes to mind. There's some success over in the entertainment district, in Central Bureau as well.
And I would say too, Jenny, the little bit of difference is, they've always had private security in the Palisades and other locations, but those are just from individuals or homeowners association that pay that contract, and they only patrol their houses. The ones that are contracted through the city, they're patrolling the whole Palisades area, irregardless of whether you paid for the private security or not. It's being furnished for them. So they're like an extra hand for the whole Palisades area, not just a specific area who they have a contract with. And I think that's going to help us out a lot.
Excellent. Thank you. Okay, we have Vicki Warren and Craig Weston asking, where do we get the no trespassing signs and how do we post them?
So if you're familiar with your senior lead officer for the area, it's Brian Espin. You can email and he can get those no trespassing signs for you. If you can also email the new palisades.lapd.online with your information, we can also provide that information to you that way. So our senior lead officers are the main contact for the trespasses. They keep all the trespass letters on file. So in case we do have to make an arrest, we can look it up and make sure there is one that's on there. And it's just another tool for us. But get a hold of your senior lead officer or go ahead and email the Palisades email, and I'll get you that information.
Rich, and I think City Council woman Traci Park, we've worked with them in the past. I think that the question is, how do they get the signs itself? And so I think if you work through the councilwoman's team, you'll be able to get those.
So I've just jumped back on, and yes, we would encourage anyone to email us and LAPD, and we'll coordinate trying to get those up and distributed. And I just wanted to add another comment here, because folks I know are frustrated, like me, that it requires signs and letters on file. And so I just, to those folks that have reached me and my team about kind of how onerous that process is, I just want to reassure them we are looking at that, and we're having some conversations with the city attorney's office and looking at, you know, whether there are some potential policy reforms that could go into how we approach this. But everybody just in the interim needs to know the legislative and the well.
Council member, I think you're breaking up a bit.
Okay, hang on. Are you hearing me now?
Yes, we can hear you clearly now.
Okay, good. So what I was saying was we're looking at some potential legislative changes that may make the process less onerous, but it takes time in City Hall. And so for now, that is the process that we're going to have to go through. So I would encourage everyone to copy me and our team, your field deputy, Ruth Gregorian at lacity.org. As well when you email LAPD, so we can help make sure that, you know, folks have all the signs in the right places.
Excellent. Very good. So you have a few different avenues, Councilmember Park's office, as well as the LAPD at Palisades. The email is palisades@lapd.online. Okay, we have a number of questions now regarding the 4th of July. Folks are very concerned, including Rosalie Huntington, as well as Rob Owens, indicating that the 4th of July weekend, a lot of times, of course, throughout the city, but particularly in the Palisades, there's illegal fireworks that come into play. A big concern about fires and fires starting due to these fireworks. Rosalie is saying that these are often set off before, during, and after the 4th of July, when the sun goes down throughout the night. Rosalie says she sees it on the beach and in the Highlands, but probably happening throughout the Palisades. And she's just concerned that there won't be arrests, there'll be some confusion regarding some of the jurisdictions, since CHP is there, LAPD is there, plus private security. How can we make sure that folks are held accountable? And there's also another question specifically from Rob. Can we have a car specifically addressing illegal fireworks as the 4th of July is approaching?
So part of our fireworks reduction plan at Westlake always includes a response car to fireworks. We do plan on having them out there. We have a pretty robust plan for the 4th of July weekend. We should have sufficient resources to address any of that issues. Sometimes it's difficult to make a physical arrest because, you know, people light out the fireworks and then run, and then you hear the fireworks and you get there and no one's there. We will have our plainclothes. Our UC capacity will be working different areas, not just the Palisades, but also the Bel Air and Brentwood area and those high fire danger areas, to look for these people and then call on our black and white officers to go in and make an arrest and confiscate those fireworks. So that is part of our plan. I know it's kind of like, you know, holding back the tide with the broom sometimes when you see how many fireworks are going off, especially on the 4th of July. But we do have plan to have a strong enforcement plan for 4th of July weekend, obviously because of the fire danger that's going on.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Okay, I want to go back to the trespassing because there are a few different clarifying questions. So Joanna Spock is asking, do standing homes, occupied or otherwise, need no trespassing signs for you to make an arrest if an intruder is present? So could you clarify the protocol in regards to arrests and trespassing, particularly for standing homes?
Yeah, so if an intruder is in your home, they're not trespassing, they're breaking in. It's more than likely a burglary or possibly a home invasion robbery. So you don't need a trespass notice to make an arrest on a crime like that. That's a crime in progress. You don't actually need one to make one that's on your property. Like if someone came and just squatted on your front lawn and you called and they told them to leave and they refused to leave, the police would come, they would tell them to leave. And if they refuse to leave, then we could make the arrest. Or if they left and they spoke to the homeowner and the homeowner said, this guy's been sitting on my lawn, for the last 3 days, I want him arrested. Although we didn't see him, the trespass violation, you could make a citizen's arrest for trespass, and then we would take that body and make the arrest. You would actually be the one making the arrest, the citizen. We would just be processing the body. So that's kind of how it works for home residents.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. All right. I think we are nearing the end of our time together today. I'm checking to see if we have any new questions here. Okay, we have AJ Porwall. AJ is asking for you, Captain, to please provide additional information on the LAPD volunteer program.
So we have volunteers that are trained here at West LA Station. Our senior lead sergeant, Scott Alpert, is in charge of that. If you'd like the people that are interested, if you want to send them to that information of the Palisades at LAPD.online, I'll have them reach out to them. You have to go through kind of a little bit of a background check. Once you pass that, then there's different types of volunteers that we use. There's line volunteers, there's station volunteers, depending on what you're interested in doing. But we do have a good program at the station. It's very helpful. I think we have 9 dedicated volunteers that actually go out in the community and use our unmarked cars and help us out with different community engagement activities and look for crimes in progress also. So very good program. I encourage anyone that's interested to reach out on that email, and I'll have our sergeant that's in charge get back to you with any information you might have.
All right, very good. There are a few folks interested in those volunteer opportunities, so that's great.
Great.
Okay, there's another question, a follow-up around the roll call schedule, and can we get the schedule for the rest of the month and beyond versus just the coming week. So Melly Rose, I see your question. We're certainly able to send around more information about that. If you email Palisades at lapd.online, you'll be able to get that full schedule. And that will also be posted, I believe, on the Pacific Palisades Community Council website. So you'll be able to see that information beyond just what's on the screen, which we thought was just easiest for those that were particularly interested in coming out this particular week. All right. I do want to ask for Captain and Deputy Chief to share a little bit more detail about the roving patrols and the areas that folks are driving through. I see a number of questions regarding basically, I don't see the cars. I don't see anybody. I'm out a lot. I'm driving around my neighborhood and I'm not seeing these cars, whether they be CHP or LAPD or the private security. So it's possible that they're just not driving by one another at the exact right time. But perhaps you could share a little bit more around where folks may be and maybe the avenues that they're driving and so forth.
Well, I'm going to leave that one to Rich Gabaldon, but I will say that we can do that high configuration during the daylight hours where you're going to see the officers with their ambers on, which will give you gives us gives the community an ability to see where their resources are. But we have divided the community into 4 sectors. We're assigning officers in those areas based on our crime analysis, based on the demographics of the community, and based on topography, the whole 9 yards. But unfortunately, I'm sorry that you didn't see them out there, but they are there. They're not going and responding to other parts of the city. But we are going to be flexible in terms of, again, if we need to flex resources in there for more high visibility right now, I think it's just a matter of, again, just a matter of us actually turning those ambers on during the daylight hours so that you can readily see them. Rich, I don't know if
Excellent.
you want to add any more to that.
No, I think you covered it good, Chief. I mean, they're out there. I think eventually, when some of the civil unrest dies down, we have the opportunity to put each officer in a separate car. You'll see even more. You'll see double. That's our plan moving forward. Unfortunately, we had some cars that were taken out of commission over the weekend due to some vandalism and other mechanical things that happened during some of the unrest downtown. So we're real low on our shops right now. We can't quite put each officer in a car like we wanted to. So some of them are still riding in pairs around. So that's one less car. But as we move forward, our plan is to put them each as what we call L cars. They'll each be in a car and driving in tandem. So it'll give the appearance of almost twice as many cars as we have now. So I think you'll see them a lot more once that happens. But they are out there, like the chief said. I know that because I check in with their sergeant and make sure they're out there.
And then I would encourage you to go to the roll calls in the streets. And that's where you really will be able to see the officers. You'll be able to, see them face to face and exchange information. And the officers love when you come to say hi and things of that nature. So I would encourage you to go to the roll calls in the streets. It's 10 o'clock every day. We'll get you the entire calendar. This will be our footprint going forward. I think it's a unique opportunity for us to really get to know the Palisades community. And again, it's an opportunity for the Palisades community to get to know the officers that work in Operations West Bureau. These officers are not from other parts of the city. They are from West Bureau, whether they're from West LA, Pacific, Olympic, Wilshire, they're here, or Hollywood, but they're here from your community. They're here from our bureau, and they know the priority that we're placing on that assignment. So again, please, I would encourage you to go to that roll call in the streets.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Council member?
Yeah, thanks, Jenny. I had a constituent share a question with me that I wanted to ask. As DWP may be shutting down power in certain areas while they're working, standing homes and other places may lose power for their cameras and ring systems. Is LAPD coordinating with DWP on timing of that work so they can maybe have a little bit, closer eyes on those neighborhoods where they don't have power?
Councilwoman, I haven't heard anything from DWP about when that's going. That's a great question. Let me check with them and see when that's going to happen. So we
Okay.
can coordinate a plan.
that
Or if you find out, let me know so we can put something together, because they haven't contacted us. And generally they do that kind of work when they get to it, and there's really not much time for them to contact us. So they really don't give us a heads up of what's going to happen beyond.
Well, maybe we can talk about improving that communication flow. I think that was the case today in Marquez Knolls. There were some areas that didn't have power, and that means the ring cameras are out. One other question, so we'll follow up on that. Captain Gabaldon, I'll reach out to you separately and let's talk about that. One more quick question. Now that information has sort of percolated out to the universe that the checkpoints are gone, the request that I got from a constituent was whether LAPD could message or maybe do a press release, just letting the public know that there is a very heavy presence and cameras and private security 24 hours a day.
Yeah, we did that when the mayor announced the transition that was in there. We could reiterate it. I'll talk about tomorrow in commission for whoever's listening to that. But yeah, we can continue that message and let them know that it's a hard target.
Thank you, Chief. I think that will reassure the community a lot to keep that message out there. Thanks.
Happy to,
Yes,
sure.
ma'am.
All right, guys, I'm so sorry. I have to jump off of this. I have to walk into another meeting right now. Thank you all so much for being here. I'm going to say goodbye.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
Councilmember.
Take care. Bye.
Okay, we're on our last question here. I'm gonna go ahead and put up the list of security companies that the team in the Palisades is working with, and then I'm gonna just ask our LAPD team here to simply share again the trespassing signs when it's helpful, when it's not needed. Captain, I think you did a pretty good job of that, but there's still some additional questions in the chat. So I just want to make sure people know that you do not need a sign for someone that is breaking into your home to be arrested. Captain, can you share a little bit more about that and when you may need these trespassing signs?
So you need the signs posted. Those are more for private businesses that are open to the public, like strip malls, that type of thing, where an individual can walk on there, and even though he's not patronizing the locations, or if he's squatting, like you said, or trespassing, so if you don't have that sign on there, then he can't be warned. He doesn't know that he's not allowed to go on there. That's just the first tool. That's trespass sign. You can point to it, or the individual can point to and say, hey, you're trespassing. See the sign up there. You could be subject to arrest. Then if he refuses to leave, they can call the police and we can come and make that arrest because he's already been warned. For your private residence, I know a lot of people put those trespass letters on file. They're good to have, but you really don't need it. You can always make a citizen's arrest for trespass if you have an individual that's refusing to leave and you've told them multiple times and the police come. Or if the police come and tell him to leave the location, they refuse to leave, police can make a physical arrest there. So the signs are more for a private property, the business owner that the public has access to. And then trespassing it at someone's individual home, it's not really necessary, but it's always good to have. It's an extra tool because if someone sees that, sometimes they get scared and they might go somewhere else if they see no trespassing. So a lot of residents have them. People have them by my house. And I think it's just one extra tool that you have in a layer of security for your home.
Excellent. Thank you. And for those that want to purchase them, you can purchase them at Santa Monica Sir Speedy. This is located at 2632 Santa Monica Boulevard. This is not a commercial. I'm just reading what other constituents, other neighbors put into the chat for sharing here. So with that, we are at 5:30. We do want to thank everybody for joining us this evening. Certainly Chief McDonnell, Deputy Chief Woodyard, and Captain Gabaldon, we appreciate your time. We appreciate your leadership and your commitment to keeping the Palisades safe. We have recorded this particular webinar. It is available at the Mayor's YouTube page, and you can access frequently asked questions, including information shared here tonight through this QR code, as well as at recovery.lacity.gov. We thank you all for joining us tonight, and we'll see you soon. Take care.
Thank you.
Good night.
Bye.